Thank you. I'm very pleased to introduce a mentor and friend, Dr. Sharon Karat, who is with Peoria Public Schools as their superintendent. I looked at her bio on the district website, and it's incredibly impressive. What do they say? More degrees than a thermometer. I'm always impressed that she invests so much time in educating herself so that she can adequately and superiorly help our children in the district. But I will tell you, my introduction is going to pivot a little because I met Dr. Karat when she was the principal of Whittier Primary School. So my oldest, Alex, who I've made come here a couple of times, he's at Bradley now, was starting kindergarten. And as you do, you know, with your first, you walk in and like make sure that school's going to be everything my little darling needed and then some. And Dr. Karat, you know, met us all as concerned parents at the door and toured us around and introduced us to master teachers and showed us her vision for what primary education was. And of course we signed up, and it was an excellent experience for all my children. Go on 15 years. And I am thrilled that we still in Peoria have the opportunity to be enhanced by Dr. Karat's vision for education. She approaches this by looking at the whole student and every student in the district. She's responsible for almost 13,000 children's development and lives, and she takes it incredibly seriously. She's a huge mentor of mine. She does amazing work, and she gives everything she has to make sure children in Peoria have an incredibly great foundation and then can move on to be successful citizens of our town and the world after they graduate. It's a large task, and there's always those jobs you're like, not enough money in the world, right? That's one of them. But we are so blessed in Peoria that she is willing to take up that call, do that job, and puts her whole heart into it. So I would like to welcome Dr. Sharon Karat.
Thank you, Trish. I love you. She's right. We go way, way back at Whittier. I was there for like 8 years. She was a very, very involved parent. And you would come in, check into the office, go to the classrooms. At the time, we did picture person, and any help we needed, running copies, whatever. Trish was always there. So, and now we're connected with the foundation. And the president of the foundation, Cindy Morris, is here as well. And they work so tirelessly on behalf of Peoria Public Schools, raising funds and providing uniforms and meals, and I mean, you name it. And we just have a really good time. We're very, very, very close, and I love them both. Thank you for having me here. Peoria-North, Rotary. You guys, you know, you inspire me. I've been here before, and the work that you do for Peoria Public Schools, with the, you know, I remember the water filling, Kelly, and you're doing a nice job. You have a great president. She works for Bradley as well, and I'm on Bradley's board. I was wondering if I could do one of the scooter, but they said that you have to pay to scoot out. I'm like, why are they scooting out? I haven't started yet. So, nice meeting you as well, Kelly. Let's see. So that's what happens when you go off script, right? So, yeah, so actually, you know what? I am doing a huge state of the schools for you. I was talking about all of the things that you guys do for us, including Peoria-North, your relationship with Roosevelt Magnet School. And when I was at Roosevelt, you were, and that was, I started Roosevelt in 1998. I've been here for a long time. Actually, I came to Peoria from the Virgin Islands from high school. They came to my high school in the Caribbean. I recruited a whole bunch of kids. There were kids from Puerto Rico, the Bahamas, St. Croix, St. Thomas, Bahamas, Barbados. They had like 6 guys who ran track for them. And I just fell in love with Peoria and stayed. My mother said, when are you coming back home? You've graduated, you need to come back. So I went to grad school, not because I really wanted to go to grad school, and the rest is history. But while I was at Roosevelt as assistant principal, I worked very closely with Rotary North with the reading program, and Kelly, and I know it's still robust, it's still vibrant. She's had me sign a book for the kids, and so that's pretty awesome. Miss Rogers, who's the principal there right now, I remember last year or the year before, well, she's going on her second year at Roosevelt. So last year, she was just telling me about the courtyard and how you guys were going to help her with that so kids could literally have access to it. So thank you for all that you do. Service above self, it's amazing. I'm a big servant leader as well, and it just makes us feel really good. So you're definitely an inspiration to our community, to the young people. If there's anything at all I can ever do for Rotary-North, please let me know. Send an email. Trish knows how to get a hold of me. I think you guys know how to get a hold of me as well. So we do have, so again, thank you, and I know you do so much more for us. Too long to mention. So I have a huge presentation on May 4th at the 4 Points, and it's called State of the Schools, and it's put on by the Chamber of Commerce. And every year they call me, they're like, are you willing to do that again? Because I'm actually their guest. And in I say yes. Usually I never turn anyone down, but I'm like, will anybody show up, especially right after COVID? And I think Cindy was asking me, they said they've sold, and it's a Chamber of Commerce event. I'm just sort of their guest there, and the main speaker. They've sold over 200 tickets, I believe. So anyway, I said, today I can just give you a little taste of what I'm going to talk about, and maybe just practice with you. So, okay. So actually, in-house with every one of you, Trish went around and gave you a brochure. So everybody will receive that, and it's a short. It's like from 7:30. We should be done at 9. So in-house, we put this brochure together for the community, and it's kind of nice because remember, it's public education, right? Peoria Public Schools is owned by you taxpayers, and I think it's my duty to give an update to our community and the citizens of Peoria. And so I start off actually with, we have a theme, and I'm big about doing things differently. Education, we don't like to change. We have to get on that transformation journey. And so our vision is all about that as well. But so the theme for this presentation, and as we go, it's part of our strategic plan, is doing things differently for different outcomes. And we have to, in order to reach every kid. So you'll see the theme there. You'll see that I'm recognizing we have 26 teachers, 26 staff, who are retiring, and when you add all of the years, it's 650 years. That talk about loyalty, right? Many of them have been with PPS for over 30 years. So recognize them. So the first panel. Then you'll see our trends. I came in 2015, and you'll see where we are. One of the things I've learned, and actually at Whittier, because Whittier we did very well. We're Blue Ribbon School. Ended up going to Washington, D.C. at the time. One of the Bush was president, and Margaret Spellman, I don't know if you guys remember her. She was education secretary. Recognized us as at Whittier as well for having the highest academic performance. And we were, we had 50-50 in terms of our demographics as well. They looked at the demographics, but you can see when I came in 2015 up to now, we're making progress, and the trends are moving in a really nice direction. One of the things that in this business, we have to remember, progress also is it's not linear, right? You go up and down, but you want to continue to climb up. And so I'm proud of the graduation rates by all subgroups, by whites, by Hispanic, by Black. Graduation rates also, those are some things that we monitor as well. We have a ton of data. When I came in 2015, I met with some business people, and they said, we would like you to focus more on employability and preparing kids not only for college, but for careers. And you can see at Woodruff, we expanded those programs. 619 students received either certifications or credentials. So that's pretty cool, which means they could, if they don't want to go to college, they can just, whatever field they were, they received their certification or credential, can get right into that, and then maybe later on get back into either ICC. And then we have about 75 partners. We do a lot with internships and employment. for the kids. A big piece for us, and for me personally also, I want to do more around equity and access to opportunity. I would like to see more of for example, my middle schoolers having access to algebra, and so there's a huge focus on that for next year and the upcoming years. More of my kids having access to advanced courses, AP classes, even improving. You know about IB. IB is amazing. It's rigorous. When they graduate, they can get into college and they're juniors, and they go to Harvard and Yale and MIT and all over the place. And so but you never hear those things about PPS necessarily, but expanding those opportunities. So you can take a look at that. Last week I went to Landmark. IHSA, they have a new sport, esports, and it's kind of weird. It's like the gaming sports, but it's a big deal now, and a lot of kids are interested in that. So we, Manuel has a team, Peoria High has a team, Richwoods have a team. We're getting ready to get uniforms for them. So I went to take a peek. I'm like, what is this all about? Because I don't like this gaming thing, but the kids do, and so we have to kind of, and it's a legit. And so I'm excited about the gaming opportunity for them as well. And then the other opportunity that I like is the D-Square program at the bottom, where it started about 2-3 years ago when I was in high school. I always wanted to be in high school and also had the ability to take college classes. I was never able to do that because we didn't have a program on St. Croix to do that. So I did it for Peoria Public Schools, and we have you can see we have kids who are their junior year. They can spend the last 2 years on ICC's campus full-time, and when they graduate, they get not only a high school diploma, but also an associate's degree, and PPS, we pick up the cost of that as well for them. And then we end up highlighting teachers. I'll end up highlighting our teachers, and Teacher of the Year, Mr. B, I love him, he's at Charter Oak, and not many men are in primary education, so it's really good, and he's a nice guy and just a great teacher. So he got the Don Ferris Award. Some of you may have heard of Don Ferris. He was an amazing educator for Peoria Public Schools, passed away. His wife, Bobby, I need to give her a call. With COVID, normally she would come to the celebrations, but with COVID, she has not been able to do that, but she writes me letters, she'll send me books, and I'm happy we're able to continue to recognize her husband. And then we've gotten some funds, some support from, they call it ESSA, but you might know it as the COVID funds. And COVID, I'll tell you, COVID, just a huge setback for the kids, for us. I've never seen, so many challenges, trauma, quite a bit of challenges, but that those supports have been very helpful to us. And you can see how those dollars were spent as well. And then Cindy wanted me to remind you, how many of you graduated from Peoria Public Schools? If you just see, yeah. I'm with my family. Awesome. Cindy, you as well. So one of the things I always wanted to do, and I was in Danville and left Danville and came here, they called and said, hey, can you come and become interim superintendent? I'm like, yes, I'm coming back home. And so, but one of the things we did at Danville was we had a hall of fame, and we have embarked on this to really recognize our alumni who have done a really nice job, and they're very successful. We'll do it online. Thomas Brook, and I think Ms. Morris, are you part of that committee as well? There's a small committee, so there's an application process. So you'll be hearing some about that as well. Just recognizing our people, our graduates, putting them online, and our kids can see that it's definitely doable. And then I have some videos. I don't know if Trish, do we have time to show some of the videos that I will be sharing with the public as well? Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. I thought we sent 3, but that's okay. Time is up anyway. The third one was a Peoria High student when I talked about doing more with equity and making sure more students have access to these rigorous courses. And it was just a Peoria High student who challenges himself. It was actually it was one of my favorites. So it's okay, but I think you get the gist of it. So thank you for all that you do. I'm inspired by you as a group overall, and love each and every one of you. And thank you for all that you're doing for the kids and the community, the immunization piece. And you know what I've always loved about Rotary? The four-way test. I still live this. You know, is it true? Don't come to me with any stuff that's not true. And your four-way test is very, very powerful. It's good questions to reflect upon and to live by. Thank you.
Does anybody have questions?
Sorry about that.
I'll give you an A for effort on your report card.
Oh, thank you. I'll share that with my team.
However, I'd like to ask you what you would give on your report card for your achievement levels for math and reading in the grade schools.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would give us, for math and reading specifically, I would say maybe a C. We can do more. And actually, there's a lot to say, but reading and mathematics, before I came, I brought in a group to help me with access and to help me get more of our kids, especially the middle school kids, access to algebra. We have a problem with, honestly, they did what we call a diagnostic for us on the entire system. So they went into like 15 schools. They set up 2 exemplary labs one at Lincoln and one at McGill's, and so they studied the rigor of the work. There are about three things: grade appropriate lessons, 57%, and no one has been privy to this because I just got out of the meeting and came here. 57% of our students are exposed to grade level work, right? It should be 100%. And so we're working towards that. The expectations, the numbers are like 32% of the teachers believe the kids can do the work. That's a big problem, and it's consistent with the research for years and years and years. And there was one other one, the engagement, the relevancy of the work. Because I had a meeting with kids, yesterday was half day, so I have a superintendent roundtable. They came in and they surveyed the kids. Because the kids, you want to hear directly from the children as well. So the relevance in terms of when we're given, like that kid that we saw the videos, that's why I like the work experience, because it's relevant, it's meaningful. They can see how it's applied in their daily, within themselves, and so that is definitely an area for us. What I like though is that you look at the scores and it's like, okay, the scores are not where I want them to be, and but we have to dive deeper and diagnose and go and say, okay, I see what we know what the problem is. Okay, we need to provide PD for our teachers. There's some teachers that are very, very, very good and they can do it. Get those, build up more teacher leaders so that they can work with their peers and do a lot more support and a lot more inspecting and a lot more conversations and a lot more monitoring the progress. So it's a lot of work. It's intensive work. I call it a daily grind, but it's doable. And so we're doing that for mathematics and we're doing that for reading. We should be able to get all of our kids reading at grade level. And it really does take a while. I mean, I'm going on my 7th year and there were so many other things. You have teacher shortage issues. You have this and you have that. And then you have COVID. And kids have missed like 2 years of school for COVID. We talked about that as well. So we can definitely improve. And so the nice thing is it's an area of focus for me personally and for my team for the upcoming school year. So I'm really excited about seeing that improvement. Thank you for the question. And I'm just being honest and real with you.
Dr. Karat, on your graduation rates, I assume the little tick down from the last year was COVID related?
Yes.
But you had a really nice jump
Yes.
the year before. What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, so, and I wanted to put that in there. I asked my team to put it in there so that I know a lot of people will say, hey, what happened? The Illinois State Board of Education and the governor's office, they relaxed a lot of requirements. So you said, hey, COVID cannot negatively impact kids. right? So that is what's attributed to that. So, yeah. Does that make sense? So graduation requirements, there was a lot more flexibility around that.
Will those be set back to?
Oh, they're back. They're back. The emergency has expired.
So thank you for being here. Some of the experiences that I've had with Loaves and Fish and working with the young people is that my memory is when I got home, there was a mother there to make sure I did my homework, or an aunt or a grandmother. And to me, that was really, really important.
Yeah.
So with our granddaughter, our 12-year-old, her mother works in law enforcement and is not home. But when she gets home, she has to call her grandmother when all her work is completed. And after 2 weeks of that, I think she gets her nails done or something like that.
That's
there is a reward.
A nice incentive, yes.
So is there anything you can do about that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I like that it's incentivized. The incentives work. Some people don't like that philosophy. And you're right. Part of the presentation as well will be around, it's called, since she's a graduate of Peoria Public Schools, I don't know if you guys know her, Katie Kelly. You might invite her. Do you know Katie? So Katie graduated from PPS. She has a little business called Smart Services. And I think I was one of the first ones to give her a contract. I said, yes, go ahead and design. But what it does is it's called Handle with Care. And she has worked with the police station, the sheriff, and other entities. And so ultimately what we end up getting every day is an email sharing with us homes where the police went or where there were trauma as well. Some days it's like 30, and I don't get the names. I don't need to see the names, but I get it by school. It's a list. I get like Peoria High, there might be 5, Sterling, there might be 5 different, it's by school and an ID number. But every school has a champion, and then they don't go to the kid and say, hey, you know what? I know the police was at your house yesterday and blah, 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 blah. They'll just say, if you need anything, let us know and we'll tell the teacher, just monitor, because there was some stuff happened, just monitor and handle her with care. But there's a lot of that going on. We have a lot of kids are in foster homes. So anyway, Katie and I were looking at the data, and she had the police chief, she had me, because it was the year 1 of it. She just said, hey, this is what we have, any feedback? So I said, and it goes with ACE's adverse childhood experiences. And there were like 3 categories, abuse, and one was abuse. The other one was household dysfunction. And I'm trying to think the 3rd category. Substance abuse. That they were lumped together. But anyway, I said, Katie, based on all of these incidences, can you give me a percentage of the 3 types of ACEs, and the 52% of all the incidences were this household dysfunction, and whether parents are incarcerated, whether the kids are in foster home, whether you name it. Okay, I mean we serve everyone, and we have to do it well. And there are a lot of kids with no support, honestly, no support or little support. And the other thing we've noticed after COVID, the level of violence has just increased significantly. And the shocking part, those kids are like getting younger and younger. You have 12 and 13-year-old kids with guns, and so there was a situation last weekend, like 1:30 a.m., hundreds of kids are in a parking lot. They're supposed to be home, right? In bed, asleep. Okay, I know it was prom. Prom was over at 11. And I'm not talking about 5 and 10. They told me over 100 kids. So yeah, I mean, that dysfunction and the society, it's just kind of exacerbated. So I mean, I wish the schools, we have schools where like Trish, right? I told you her accomplishments at Whittier. My parents were very, very involved, very involved. My kids had to read for 30 minutes every day. And they did. And so it's like, okay, we can continue to say, you know what, your parents aren't involved, we throw you away, or kind of figure out how we can do things differently to still try to save some kids, because some of them are truly victims. And yeah, it's tough work, but it's really good work.
On a small scale, making the grade, which you started.
Which one?
That can help
Making the grade.
Oh, making the grade, yes. Maybe you can come, Tricia can invite Cindy and she could talk about it. And I think that'd be a nice project for Rotary North as well. And you'd get to learn about the kids. And many of them are very, very, very smart kids. But you know, when we hear about that TNTP report I told you about, if it's boring, it's not relevant, then so, and there's still some things we're still working. The nice thing is we're detecting opportunities for improvement in the system. And that's about 10% of the kids. So when she did, as Trish said, about 13,000 kids, but overall, how many kids were impacted by smart services or handled with care? It was 1,216 kids. So it's still, you know, it's, yeah. So it's, yeah, it's definitely a work in progress, and it's a marathon, not a sprint, and just keeping good people. And one of the things I noticed, good leaders who are committed and who will stay for a long period of time so we can continue that work. See, because if I leave, then somebody else comes back, they're going to have to, you know, experience that on their own. But we are, in terms of the leadership, it's pretty strong at Peoria Public Schools, so that's a good thing. And we were able to get new curriculum, new buses, because the curriculum, you know, they were 20 years old. The buses were 20 years old. And so the COVID funds helped quite a bit. I remember when I was at Whittier, people would come, you know, and they went to Whittier. Whittier is 100 years old. And they're in their 80s and 70s, and they would come for a tour, and they would say, oh, I remember that desk, and I remember the chair. So I'm happy we were able to invest in furniture for all of our classrooms, because those desks. But we do a very good job maintaining our buildings. You should see Manual. Manual is awesome in terms of the building. They take really good care of the building, but from time to time, it's nice to have some new stuff. Any questions? Any
Any other questions?